So we have some properties buy and hold in Illinois that we actually got the first one.
Why Illinois?
No reason originally. We actually have someone, a former coach here with Little Pink. He happened to know a wholesaler in Illinois, brought us the first one. It was a sub 2 deal. Numbers looked really good, so we got that one. It was a buy and hold, and because we had that, we needed a property manager because we live in Tennessee. So
Remote investing.
yes, it was remote, and so we were a little bit nervous about trying to find that property manager. The former coach here agreed he'd get on the phone with me to interview property managers. We already had some, so I kind of knew what questions to ask, but I think I was telling Scott, I just did a Google search and found some questions and, identified some issues we'd had in the past, made sure I asked about those. So I and this former coach got on calls with 3 of them, and it was very clear on the 3rd call that she was it. You could just tell she knew what she was doing. She answered everything like I wanted to hear.
She laughed at my jokes.
Part of the decision-making process.
Yeah. So she became our property manager, and since then, of course, she's a real estate agent as well. And so she just started every so often sending us mostly listings, a few pocket listings, but mostly listings. And so since then, I guess we've gotten 4 more through her.
No, I think there's 3 more from her.
Okay, 3 more from her, all in this little area of Illinois. And so
It's southern Illinois, and if you ask me where the properties are, I can't point to them on a map.
they're all in different little small towns.
We were scrolling through Zillow on this one property we'll talk about, and it had the interior photos, and I'm just scrolling through the Zillow, and Jeannie looks over and she goes, well, which property is that? That's ours. That's when we're just about ready to talk.
We were just looking at it to look up the numbers, and
I've never.
I actually
if
thought
you,
he
if
was
you look on
analyzing
Zillow,
something
look
new.
up the address, 722 Anderson in Cartersville, Illinois. Those are the only pictures I've ever seen of the house. I've never laid physical eyes on the house. I've never touched the house. In fact, I've never seen the property manager we're talking about, Tammy. I've never seen her. I've only heard her voice on the phone. She might not even exist. I don't know. I don't care.
She does a hell of a job managing.
She does a great job of sending me a check once a month. The AI, I don't know, I don't care. It's something out there texts me every now and then with deals, and texts me every now and then that there's a repair needed, and so my check will be a little bit less that month. And that's it. That's it.
So
I guess we'll talk about the last one of these we got, which is the 722 Anderson. Unfortunately, we got this one like back in July, and we haven't gotten one since then, so I'm starting to get itchy to buy something. So as we went through the numbers, I'm like, oh, it's been a bit. We should probably go ahead and get something else.
do you want to write all these?
Please.
Okay. So it was 722 Anderson.
722 Anderson in Cartersville, Illinois. I don't know where Cartersville, Illinois is. I hear there's some vineyards there. It's very nice from what I hear. I don't know.
So they were asking $124,000 when she sent it to us, and I thought, just looking at the original photos, it looked like they did a lot of DIY, the family that lived there, and it looked pretty much move-in ready based on the photos alone. So we ran the numbers and figured out for what we want on a buy and hold that $107,000 was pretty much the max we could offer. And so we offered $107,000.
Did the agent give you any sort of indication of what the wiggle room was on it, or you just said this is kind of where we were?
That was the wiggle room she gave us. We wanted to offer a little bit less, I believe, and
I think she said they would probably go for 110.
yeah.
So then we offered 107.
And we were getting pretty tight on the numbers we wanted with 107, and because we're trying to get up to the 110. This is also when, I guess, rent prices were increasing, and so we were kind of at the top of what she thought she could get. But every time she had told us before what she could get, she always got that. So we're kind of at the top end of what We wanted to go, but a little bit below what they said, but they accepted 107.
And then we always have an inspection period, and we always have an inspection done. So I call some random inspector that Tammy, our property manager out there, recommended to us. In fact, she calls them up and has it come out and inspected, and they send me the bill. So then we got the inspection back. I had some questions. I actually called the inspector and talked to him for about 30 minutes.
You sure it was the inspector or was it?
I don't know. Some AI that was sitting right next to AI answered it. So, one of our hesitations about always doing things remotely, and some of you asked us about that, I can go in a house and I can see that there are walls, I can see that there's a sink, I can see that there's a commode. That's about the extent of my knowledge of houses. And you're always going to get an inspection report done anyway, and they send you this 30-page report that gives you more information than you could have ever figured out yourself. With photos, every time there's two wires that don't have the little plastic cap screwing them together, they'll send you a picture of that and they'll say, yellow, this is a caution, you should do blah, 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 and this isn't with code. I wouldn't know any of that at all. They'll also say it'll probably cost you about this much to fix. I wouldn't have known how to do that at all. So what good would have been me to take a trip all the way to Illinois to look at this house to go, it's a house.
There it is.
There it is. Looks exactly like the picture.
Jenny, what do you think?
And I walk in the kitchen, I go, it's a kitchen. But then I pull up the report and I go, oh, there's something I didn't see when I was standing in the kitchen. Oh, there's something I saw but didn't have any clue what it really meant. But this guy has told me what it means. So to me, I just need a good inspector that I didn't find. I let my property manager out there find it, who I've never even seen my property manager. So it's all good. We got the report back. They said, oh, here's this, this, and this. We estimate it'll probably take you about $7,000 to fix all that. So
Of the things we wanted to fix.
Of the things we wanted to fix, some things like, every house in southern Illinois has foundation issues. Apparently there's not a single house in southern Illinois, built in 1925 anyway, that hasn't settled and sunk on the foundation a little bit. So we kind of want to get that squared away. All the doors are kind of rotted out. All the windows are a little bit rotted out. And they said it'll cost you about $7,000 to fix all that. So we countered with
97.
$97,000.
And surprisingly, they accepted it.
At first they said no, and we said, well, we're not going to go any lower. 2 days later, they came back and said, is that 97 still good? Yep, still good. So we took it at 97.
Closed on July 2nd.
Closed on July 2nd. That's what Zillow told us. All right, so we closed $97,000. Now, we got to get work done. So, what do? We call up Tammy and says, hey, make it happen. She goes, okay. About 2 weeks later, yep, we're about ready to get started. A couple weeks after that, how's it going? Yeah, the contractor got COVID.
Yeah, that was
Crap. A couple weeks later, how's it going? You still got COVID. So we didn't actually get it all repaired and up and running until December. That's when they finally got moved in. We got our first rent check. So we had to hold it from July 2nd to August.
5 months.
Yeah, it's about four-ish months or so, right? So we had to hold it for that time. So we're paying the electrical on it. So that cost us about $500.
the mortgage.
We had to pay the mortgage. Oh, yeah, we had to come up with a down payment too. So we did, went with the traditional bank. We got a 20% down payment on it. We went ahead and calculated our closing costs of about $3,500 or so, and then we had about $7,000 worth of repairs or whatever. Once they finally got working on it, the repairs turned out to be about $8,200. So all in, it cost us about $32,000 to get in this property. But we've taken out a HELOC, and that's how we fund a lot of what we do. So what we did was just use our giant credit card called a HELOC to pay the $32,000. So at this point, how much of our own money did we actually use?
0.
We're at 0. So what's our cash on cash return? Infinity. It's none of our own money. We've borrowed money from banks. 2 different ways, through a mortgage and then the rest of it from a HELOC. It's still not our money.
Quick question for you.
Yeah.
Is it HELOC on the rental or is it on your own personal
It's on our own personal property. Yep. It's our giant credit card. If you guys have been watching VIP Financial, I know a lot of you have, they use the HELOC for a lot of different things and investing and stuff. And when we went through all that, we just completely use our HELOC for everything. Everything, all our money we get coming in goes on the HELOC. And then when we need money to take out for anything, we just use the HELOC and take the money out of the HELOC. We live out of the HELOC. And whenever we get enough money to go buy a property, we go buy a property.
Yeah.
So what else we got? So we got,
The rents.
all right, so the rents, we rent it for $1,200 a month at the end of the day. And so we always take out everything. You gotta take out the mortgage, you gotta take out the property tax, you gotta take out insurance. We always reserve 5% for repairs, 5% for vacancies, 5% for capital improvements, and we always hold back 10% for property management. So we always hold out 25% for doing those things. End of the day, that's a positive cash flow of about $300, $322. Now we do need to be paying back the HELOC a little bit, and we calculated it up. It costs us about $90 a month for that HELOC, so that drops it down to about $230 or $40 a month in positive cash flow. So that's our profit on that every single month. Now, so far this year, we've not had any repairs, we've not had any maintenance, we've not had any of that, so it's closer to about $450 gross, and then you take out the $90 for the HELOC, so we're about $350 of cash flow every month. So that's money that goes in our pocket just to give us lunch money, sushi money, pays a bill, whatever. On top of that, we calculated up every month, since we're paying that mortgage, we knock $104 off of that principal every single month. So that's $104 worth of net worth I get every month, right? Of the mortgage pay down. You figure that up, that's about another 4% or a year of return. On top of the, assuming we paid all that cash out of our pocket, that was going to be about a 12% cash on cash return if we just paid for that out of our pocket. Then you get 4% for the mortgage pay down. And there's this thing called depreciation. We looked that one up. That's $270 a month of tax savings. And so you do that, that's almost 10% of a return there. So just in that, you got 12% cash on cash, 10% for depreciation. I'm at 22%. And then you got about 4% for the mortgage pay down. So we're at what, 26% return? Okay, that's pretty good. And I went and looked. If you look on Zillow, what's his estimate right now? It's $130,000 today.
Not that it's truly accurate.
It's his estimate. I get it. It could be anywhere in there, but I'm in it for 77, and it's worth 130. So that's about what, another 50 grand of equity right there, right?
So tomorrow you definitely can still be coming out on top.
That's right.
So what would you say was one or two of the things that you learned that you would offer to us to?
Do these kind of deals as often as you can pull it off. I mean, that's kind of the deal. So when we're looking at these properties, we started out, in the bigger pockets world like a bunch of people do, and that's where we kind of started getting some of our numbers. So we always look to try and get at least 10 or 12% cash on cash return. We're always looking to get about $200 a month in cash flow. And that's the deals we're always trying to look for. We did it kind of the hard way, stupid way, save up a 20-25% down payment and just go buy a house with a regular mortgage. Those are fine and dandy, that's cheap money. They'll limit you to how many you can do. So you can do 10 of those mortgages and then they'll cut you off. The banks won't let you do any more than 10. They will let you do 10 per person as long as you don't both get on the title at the same time. So when you start doing that and you're getting bank loans, make sure you try and concentrate on one of you first. Use up one of your 10 slots first and then switch over to the other spouse to get the other 10 slots. So you can do 20 standard loans. But by the time you're getting close to doing that, you will figure out how to do all these term deals we've been talking about today. And our goal right now is to not buy anything else that requires a bank to jump in to help us out. That would be our goal at this point. And I would say starting out, if you haven't started buying your first one yet, start thinking about buying them on terms and just stay away from the banks. They kind of suck. We all know that.
Tony's not here today. So.
Yeah, Tony's not here, right?
Yeah, not yet.
Okay, all right. Don't tell him I said that tomorrow. And we're talking RCN tomorrow. They're the best. They're great.
They are.
Yeah, just between us, banks suck. We don't want to use banks. Anything else you want to talk about in this house? Nothing I can think of. It's built in 1925, so there's
Let's say,
that.
what is your guys' normal criteria when you look at the house?
Our normal criteria for a home, does it cash flow $200 a month, and does it give us a 10 to 12%? That's it.
Okay, how'd you find these, the Illinois?
So through connections, so you've heard your net worth is your network. That's very true. Through a contact we made in the PINK family.
And then we established the property manager for that first one, and then we've
Yeah, so
got 3
we
more.
we
for
had a
property.
relationship through the PINK family. They knew some wholesaler in Southern Illinois, and this is where these deals were popping up. One of these deals popped up. They sent it to us and said, "Are you interested in this?" As it turned out, it was a fairly cheap house. It was $30,000 to buy a house that would rent for $675 a month.
Sign me up.
The numbers on that is like, here's my 30 grand, take it quick.
Yeah.
Now, it took about 15 grand to get it rehab, but so we bought the house, and then we needed to find a property manager, so we just started calling, and we found a property manager on the 3rd call, Tammy, and we said, "Hey, go look at it." And she looked at it, and I go, "Can you guys get the rehab scheduled?" She goes, "Yeah, I've got some, my husband's a contractor, he knows folks." So they went out and did it, and they started renting it, and then she started sending us deals that she had in her pocket. And we just kind of grew from there. It's established a relationship with some stranger 2 states over that I've never seen face to face.
Tammy the AI.
Hmm?
Tammy the AI.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tammy the AI, Tammy the AI has been sent out. And so, it's been working great since then. She just periodically sends me deals. Sometimes I'm in a position where sometimes they're not deals at all. Most things aren't deals, right? So she'll send a deal, and this is hard to believe, a bit of a procrastinator. So I've had deals come in, I'm like, "Oh, I should probably run the numbers on that." 2 days later, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I was supposed to run the numbers on that. Oh, that's a great deal. Hey, Tammy, I'd like to go ahead." "Oh, it's gone." "Okay. Okay, thanks, Tammy." And like she sent us a deal earlier this year that we were really hoping to take down. It was a 8-unit apartment building for $150,000. And I'm like, "How much is the cash flow?" She goes, "I can get $600 a door for that." I'm like, "Buy me 10 more of those." And then we did the inspection. Yeah. You peeled back the cover on that one. Let's just close that one back up and keep on going. So not everything's a deal, even when it sounds like it might be a deal, and that's what we've kind of discovered and found out. So it's build relationships, and somebody in here will know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who might have a deal pop up somewhere. And then you wind up having to find a team in that area and set up a team in that area. And once you set up the team in the area, the team will start sending you deals, and they'll know who the good construction crews are. I can't go and pick out a good construction crew. I'm pretty trustworthy. I go, "Oh, you'll be there on time? Sure. Oh, you're a contractor. I know you're going to be worthy and show up when you say you're going to show up, right?"
Yeah, just from like our personal experiences, before we got married, we each had a house. I moved into his home when we got married. We kept mine as a rental, and it was a brand new construction, 2 years, and then we get married. So, great, shouldn't have any maintenance upkeep. Well, then we had a huge hailstorm, and right before we rented it is when this happened. And so I'm the one making the calls to find the contractors. And I went through 3 or 4 before I could get somebody to come out to do an estimate. And here's Tammy, who does this every day out of state, and she's got the guy, he's there the next day, because she's given him enough business to keep him occupied. I mean, she definitely did a better job at it than I would, and it's my property,
It really does come down to what is the best use of your time. The best use of our time is not going into houses and looking to see what's wrong with them and figuring out costs and all that. That's not the best use of our time. Is the best use of our time stand on top of contractors to make sure they show up on time? It's not the best use of our time. It's not what's putting money in our pocket. What's putting money in our pocket is getting the deals under contract and closing on those deals and collecting the paychecks every month. That's where our best use of our time is. To buy stuff that pays me back. That's the best use of my time. Not tracking stuff down like that. And these people, that's their job. That's what they do all day long. So they're going to be far better at it than I am. An inspector is going to be able to walk in the house and figure out what's going on in the house a lot better than I'm going to be able to. People can go out and be able to negotiate deals a lot better than I can. So it's not necessarily the best use of my time to go out there and try and negotiate all these deals when other folks can do it much better than I can.
Did we cover the numbers you wanted to hear?
Yeah,
Scott?
did you, do we go, we went off tangent. We did, sorry. Yeah, a little, I did. It was me.
This was great. I mean, I think there were a couple, probably several takeaways, but I think from cash flow, kind of what your numbers need to be, to the remote process, which it just opens up, it opens it all up. You don't have to be in your backyard so you have the entire country to farm. And so it's just really exciting to identify a pocket, Southern Illinois, Cartersville, never heard of
Yeah,
it.
Cartersville, Murfreesboro,
All these little towns.
Yeah.
West Frankfort, there's like a bunch of little communities there. I can't point them out on the map. They're Southern Illinois. They are for cash flow. It's not, in 10 years, the houses will cost
Yeah.
about the
Very, very
exact
little.
same amount
But
as
it's
they do now.
consistent.
Yep.
Well, the weird thing is I saw the one, I just wanted to ask about it, because it doubled, like it sold the year before for half the price. Was there,
They're creating value and creating equity with the improvements and stabilizing it and all that kind of stuff. So, and so year over year, I guess I would put that into the equation. So they increased it. Now you won't likely see that again next year and the year after, right?
Yeah,
I think that'd
and
be the difference.
that is, this crazy year where everything is going out the roof. I mean, I go into Zillow about once a month or so, just all my properties and just looking in there, and I'm like, wow, I gained $300,000 this month. It's crazy, right? Well, not that much. It's only 100,000, but I don't want to exaggerate. But I mean, it's just for sitting there for a month, my net worth went up 100,000 if you believe Zillow estimates, which I don't. But it makes me feel good. It makes me feel good. Yeah, when it goes down, I don't even look then. I don't look that.
Quick question.
Yeah, exactly.
When you started till now, like how many years has this been? Has it been months, years?
Four.
Okay.
So yeah, so what happened was in 2017 we sold her house that she was talking about, and we made a nice profit on it, and that means I was able to pay off my tremendous, overwhelming, suffocating student loans. And once we got that burden off the top of us, the only thing we really had then was the mortgage on the house that we're living in, and then we're like, I think we should probably think about investing in something. Oh, I've heard about this thing called real estate. We've rented her house, and I rented an old house I had. We'd become accidental landlords a couple times in our past, so we kind of knew about real estate. So we're like, let's start learning about how to really make. And boy, this one was a good one. I was all about, let's go buy some properties. I've been listening to YouTube, so I now have my PhD from YouTube. And I'm like, this is a great idea. Let's do it. She remembers having to deal with the damage from the hailstorm. She's like, hailstorm, no.
That's pretty funny.
And then as I was watching all this stuff going on, and I'm like, hey, how about hell no? Okay. Robert Kiyosaki has these periodic seminars. It's not him, it's somebody in his group, right? They give you these 2-hour free seminars on a Friday. We're coming to your town, come by and visit us. Well, I signed up for it, and it was like on a Friday, and we were both off on that Friday. And I was like, let's go. And she's like, nah. She's like, well, let's go eat breakfast. So we went and ate at Waffle House, because that's what we do. We're walking out of Waffle House, and I'm like, she doesn't really want to go. But let's just do it. She's like, fine, just because I love you, we'll go. And we're sitting there, and we're listening to them talking, and they're talking about, with all this, I was able to quit my job, and I got my time back, and I'm free. And I'm like, okay, yeah, this is all great. You know the setup. Here's the freebie course. Then we'll offer up the next course, which is more money, and after that, the next course, more money, next course, more money. Everybody knows the funnel. And I'm in the funnel, and I'm listening to it, and this is great, but I'm like, this ain't going to convince her at all. And I'm like, okay, if you guys are interested, everybody's in the back ready to take your orders for the next course, so it'll cost you $600. We're also going to give you a tablet as part of the deal. I'm like, okay, they're really overcharging for that class because they're giving away free tablets, but whatever. She's not going to go for it. I look over her, and she's like, we're going back there right now, and we sprinted to the back to sign up for this thing. And I'm like, the key to get your spouse on board with you for your crazy ideas is find a free seminar somewhere and let them do the work for you. And then she's like, well, let me call up the property manager we're using when we rent her house and see if he's got any deal. And so this is about March. He called back and he goes, I've got this one property for you. We went out and looked at it. It's like, no, that's just the numbers don't work. And he's like, you really need to buy for appreciation. We're like, no, we're supposed to buy for cash flow. He was of the, you'll make your money when you sell. And we'd already been kind of convinced of you make your money when you buy. We'd already kind of bought into that. And we're like, okay, this guy's not on the same page with us, and we're kind of like, maybe this is good. And then phone rings. It's him. He goes, I just got a property. It's a pocket listing. It hadn't been listed out yet. It's a duplex. Do you want to go look at it? We went and looked at it. We ran the numbers. Came out. It gave us $200 per door. So that's $400 cash flow. It met our 10-12% cash on cash return. We bought it. We've gone out. We already got in the HELOC because we're getting ready to start doing this stuff. We bought it. Had to put 25% down. Put that on the HELOC, and then we have a duplex. About a month later, he goes, hey, I got a house. It was all torn down and rebuilt from scratch. Do you want to go look at it? Sure enough. And so then we closed on it in June. And then come about November, after we closed on that one, I'm like, I'd really like to have a quad. About 2 months later, he goes, hey, I've got a fourplex. You guys want to go look at it? Let's go look at it. And in December, we closed on the quad. First 9 months, we bought 7 units in that first 7 months. We were on fire. The HELOC was maxed out. That slowed us down for a little bit. Got to let the HELOC pay down some. Because we haven't figured out how to get private money yet. We haven't figured out how to get more capital yet. And
Have you guys found anybody that could do HELOC on a rental property?
I wish I could, and I keep looking. You find one, you let me know.
We're going to talk about HELOCs tomorrow, by the way. Talk about HELOCs tomorrow. How many doors are you up to now, Bobby?
We're at 12 right now.
right.
We're at 12. Unfortunately, I'll throw this one in too. So we're going along, we got those first 7 units, and at that point, anytime I heard the words passive income, my ears perked up like a German Shepherd, right? And then we're actually on vacation, and I was watching some web conference. It was the Cash Flow Summit. I'm like, oh, I gotta listen to this. Somebody had mentioned something about investing in oil rigs. Cash flow. I just sent in my email. About 3 months later, they'd sent in an email back to me going, hey, we got a couple of projects. Do you want to invest in some oil wells? I'm like, why, yes, I think I do. And Jenny's like, I don't know that we want to do this. So instead of buying a rental unit, we went off and invested in some oil wells. We were a little nervous about those. So for that first year after we invested in them, they're like, there's a chance we're going to drill on the ground and not get anything. We call those dry holes. And they're like, we drilled, we didn't get anything. But we're going to try again, okay? No, nothing. 2 strikes. I'm like, oh God, this is going to be a terrible investment. Like on the third one, they're like, oh, we got a little bit. Oh, that's good, I guess. Oh, it's just gas. We didn't get oil. We just got some gas. I'm like, oh God. And then they said, tell you what, we're going to give one more shot over here. And I'm like, oh God, let this work. And they're like, yes, we hit oil. And I'm like, now the good thing about investing in oil rigs, you get a ton of tax benefits. Everything you invested, you get to knock it off your taxes for that year. So those first couple of years, right after we invested in oil, we Donald Trump the shit out of our taxes. Oh.
And it was great.
And then about a year ago now, we start getting checks in the mail from our oil companies. Now I'm in a really weird position. When everybody screams about oil prices going up, I'm like, no, that's bad. Go. Okay, I'll shut up.
He's done.
We enjoy it.
You should have shut me down.
So thank you guys, and,
Yeah,
and you guys are some of our biggest rock stars. You know that, and we love you. And honored to have you as part of the family, Bobby. You guys know that.
So yeah, on that, this is a fantastic family. You guys are amazing. Everybody here is incredible, amazing. You're very fortunate to be here. I'm fortunate to be able to know all you guys. These guys are incredibly amazing. There was a time at the end of 2020, COVID tried to kill me. These guys all stepped in to kind of help things go along. We had a couple of deals going on. Kyle stepped in. He helped get a couple of deals to the finish line because I was being told by the doctors I was about to die. Jenny was somehow bothered by this, and so she was kind of out of play too. So these guys all stepped in. They're amazing. They're incredible. So thank you.
Yeah, that's right, Bobby.